Hello, everybody. This is Brian Keith Noonan, the One Coach, and you are tuned into High Noon Live, ideas to take you higher. This is my experiment for entrepreneurs. It's a midday boost. It's a positive focus for you to come here and interact. I know a lot of you work on your own and may not have a place to interact and talk about the bigger and better things to move your life and business forward. So I'm getting on here a few times a week and talking about relevant topics to entrepreneurs and often humans in general. So while you guys start tuning in, I'm gonna share this over to my page and we will get started. Today's topic is to give a fuck or not to give a fuck. That is the question. What does that mean? Well, we're about to find out. If you're watching me now, please type in the comments and confirm that you can see and hear me. Right. Hi, Lori. Hi, Tiffany. You guys can hear and see me okay? We'll kick this off. In case you're just tuning in, this is Brian Keith Noonan, the One Coach, and this is what I call High Noon Live. Do it at high noon, 12 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast here, a few days a week. Place for entrepreneurs to get together with like-minded people, focus on some positive things to move their life and business forward, and interact. So please do interact. Hi, Carol. Good to see you. All right, just give me 1 second to share this over to the page. I haven't figured out how to share it into the event yet, but hopefully anybody following from the page side is going to get that. All right. So, first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to my son, Jack, who solved the Rubik's Cube today. He's 10 years old, and he got it a week and a half ago, and he's been studying the damn thing. And unlike when we first got Rubik's Cubes back in the day when they first came out, there's a lot of videos and stuff explaining different techniques and what they call algorithms to solve this thing. And he kept at it and solved the Rubik's Cube. So if you want to see Jack on my timeline, a little video that he put up, go for that. But great job, Jack. That is awesome. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about that. So we also got a couple things from the suggestion box here. I'll read off the cards. So one comment was, your eyes look nice, but you should trim your beard. It looks like you got some kind of Fu Manchu thing going on. All right. Well, I don't know what the camera here tends to, it does something actually weird with my beard. It does something weird with my hair too. But it doesn't look that way in real life. There's no Fu Manchu. Yes, I will trim my beard when I feel like it. And thanks, Mom, for the suggestion. Okay, another suggestion. Please don't cuss so much on your show. You're watching the wrong show. Okay, that's all for that. Hi, everybody. Sophia, Michael, good to see you. So today's topic, High Noon Live. To give a fuck or not to give a fuck. That is inspired by a book I'm reading called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I highly recommend it. And what he talks about there is not, the reason it's a subtle art of not giving a fuck is we got to choose what we give a fuck about. Okay, we have a limited amount of fucks to give. I'm going to bring this all into context of our conversation here and our lives and our businesses and everything as we go along. But what are some things that you give a fuck about and what are some things you don't give a fuck about? Okay. This translates into bandwidth. This translates into focus. Okay. It translates into what I call selective ignorance. Okay, a couple things I don't give a fuck about. All right, I don't give a fuck about what Trump does. I don't give a fuck about the news. I don't give a fuck about what sports team won. I don't give a fuck about TV shows. I don't watch TV. I don't give a fuck about what some celebrity's doing. Okay, so by removing all those fucks about unimportant things to me, okay, everybody gets to choose what they give a fuck about, or what they focus on, or what they think about. By removing those things, I have more space for the things that are important to give a fuck about. Okay, my health, my relationships, my family, my business. What do you guys think about that? I highly encourage you to comment. It helps me over here take the discussion in a direction that is most desired by you and keeps it interesting. So I love this book. Once again, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, because it ties into, like I was saying, what I call selective ignorance, because I choose to be selectively ignorant about certain things and just not let them in. I don't watch them. I don't focus on them. I don't talk about them. To me, they may as well not exist. Because what happens is we get distracted and we are too busy giving a fuck about something unimportant. Meanwhile, the important things are falling by the wayside. And yes, Tiffany, it's very important to choose where your energy goes. So the reason I get on here live a few times a week is to help you have a place to get away from your news feed or the news on TV or whatever other things are going on that are disempowering to you and your focus, and bring you back to some things that you can focus on that will move your life and business forward. And the idea is to provide some great concepts, some ideas to take you higher per the tagline, and some actionable tactics that you can take forward and for your life and business. So this whole thing, our focus is a huge thing, and you'll hear me talk about that a lot. Negative thinking to me is really a negative focus. So when we're feeling bad, when we're thinking about something, it's typically something that we can't control. So why give a fuck about what you can't control? What are some things you can't control? You can't control the past. All right, I've given up all hope of a better past. Can't control the future, so why worry about it? Can't control what other people think, say, or do. Okay, so we just can't control those things. Not that we can't take proactive actions to make the future better. That's not the point. Okay, but dwelling on those things is taking up that bandwidth or that number of fucks we have to give, to put it in that context, because we're talking about the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. But you're using up your energy. There's a limited amount of bandwidth. There's a limited amount of mind share. There's a limited amount of energy. And what are you going to put it on? Agreed, Lori. Don't be a cog in the machine. So what do you all think? Who's read the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson? I'm actually listening to the Audible on that one. Yeah, he says fuck a lot in it. And obviously I kind of have to say fuck a lot during this episode. I normally probably limit it to a couple. I appreciate you all tuning in, by the way. And for those of you who don't know, wrapped up my marketing agency around the middle of last year, actually on my birthday officially in July. And after doing great things with it, working with clients like Tony Robbins and some of his partners and running really big advertising and marketing campaigns and things like that. And I wound that down to pursue coaching entrepreneurs full time. So if you're wondering what the one coach is, I call myself the one coach not because I'm the only coach, not even because I'm the best coach in the world, although I am a good one, but because I work on the outer skills of sales, marketing, and systems with my clients in tandem with the inner stance and mindset and purpose and priority, because I believe both things have to be firing on all cylinders, both the outer game and the inner game. So the one coach is the one coach for life and business at the same time. So, Lori, what do you mean I haven't yet? I really need to. Oh, read the book. Okay, yeah, read the book. I mean, it's sort of a modern day take on really the ancient idea of what we focus on. You know, what we think about is what we create in our reality, and what we think about is what we feel. And so, like where I went on Sunday, these Buddhist monks have been meditating for thousands of years just to train their mind to focus on something that not even something that feels good, but something that is neutral. And by focusing on something that's neutral and not a loaded thought, we clear our mind. You know, that's what we do in meditation, certain types of meditation. So, hey, Mark, thanks for tuning in. I don't know. I'm just getting used to this Facebook Live format. But if you're tuning in, please watch the replay, because obviously I can't repeat what we're doing every time somebody joins in. But I really appreciate all of you coming on. And we're talking about to give a fuck or not to give a fuck. So do you all agree, or do you have any ideas about deciding what's important and what's not? Because that's really what the question is. You know, the subtle art of not giving a fuck is choosing what's important to you and not giving a fuck about everything else. And the more we can do that, now, does this make us popular? Because, you know, first of all, life's not a popularity contest. And if you're going to be putting yourself out there, you're going to have some people putting yourself out in a powerful way as an entrepreneur. You're going to have some people who love what you do and some people who hate what you do. And the people who love what you do are your tribe, and they're going to be the ones who follow you and the ones who do business with you and the ones that you serve. And the other ones, not your people. But as far as what we focus on, deciding to focus on what's important to you so that you can be at your best, and then have something to give for the people that you love and the people that you serve. I think we have it backwards in a lot of cases, based on our beliefs and our upbringing and what we decide, what type of meaning we decide to assign to things as to whether to give a fuck about them. And really, no matter what happens, it's our responsibility how we choose to feel about it. Okay, we can create our own meaning for whatever happens in life, good or bad. Absolutely, Caroline. It's important to know and decide what's important to you. And that's the thing. If we don't sit down and do some of the foundational work of deciding what really is important to us, then we're just blowing in the wind. We haven't established our own set of values and priorities. And so we're saying yes to things that, in terms of our time, energy, and money, that are not in line with those values and priorities and goals. And so the important things get pushed off. So why let yourself do that? Why be subject to the whims of the news and social media and world events and what everybody else is doing, worry about, looking at everybody's highlight reel on the timeline and comparing yourself and all these different things, which just takes away from the task at hand, which is your life. So I definitely recommend the book. This is not a book review show, but what it is ideas for entrepreneurs, focus on entrepreneurs, but a lot of the things we talk about are applicable to all human beings to take your life and business forward. So I appreciate the interaction, everybody. I set this up so I can see the comments more in the middle of on the edge of one of my screens, so that I don't have to look all over the place. So to summarize, we have a limited amount of fucks to give. Can't give a fuck about everything. Translated into, we have a limited amount of bandwidth to give, mind share to give, energy and willpower to give. So we've got to choose what's important and cut out the rest. Are other things important to someone else? Yeah, maybe they are. But it doesn't mean they have to be important to you. Do most people spend way too much time in the past, regretting the past, worrying about the future, and worrying about what other people think, do, or say? Yeah. Trust me, we don't have control over those things. And focusing on things that we can't control makes us feel like shit, which was the topic of one of, I think, my last live here. So I encourage you as entrepreneurs and humans to take some time out. You hear me talk about also another book called The One Thing by Gary Keller a lot, and the foundational work in there in terms of focusing on what's really important and getting it into your schedule and having those priorities in place. So when you're saying yes to something, it's in line with what your most important goals and values are and your purpose and your why, rather than saying yes to something because that doesn't serve you, because my stupid dog wants to go out. When we say yes to one thing, we're saying no to something else by default. So what are you saying yes to? I like to think of it as, is it a hell yes? If it's not a hell yes, then it should be a hell no. The gray area isn't helpful. So do I really want to do something? Do I really think it's a good idea? If you're having trouble making a decision like that, I'm going to mention a fun method. It sounds stupid, but it makes sense when you think about it after. Take a coin, heads or tails. Should I do it or not do it? Flip the coin, okay? And it doesn't matter whether the coin lands on heads or tails. Just ask yourself, what did I want it to land on? It feels better. Follow the flip. I stole that from Michael Neal. He's one of what I consider to be super coaches and people that I follow and study and work with. Yeah, Lori, people pleaser. So I'm glad you said that, because I meant to use that term talking today. Don't live your life for other people. My man Jesse Elder posted the other day, selfishness is a virtue. And I agree with that, but I'll tell you why. Okay? Not to be an asshole, but I firmly believe that just like when you're in an airplane, they tell you put your own oxygen mask on first. The cabin depressurizes, put on your own mask first, and then put it on your kid, for instance. If you're dead, you can't help anyone, okay, or passed out or whatever, I guess what happens when you have a depressurized cabin. So taking that analogy to our own lives, if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not fulfilled, if we're not happy, if we're not lit up and excited about things, if we're not in love with our life and in love with ourselves, if we're not connected to our higher selves, aka God, spirit of the universe, the force, however you think about it, but if we're not having all those things going on, if we're not physically and mentally and emotionally well, and we're not financially well, we can't give those things away. We can't help other people. So it really comes down to having to take care of yourself first. You have to put yourself first. It's not that you don't love your kids. It's not that you don't love your spouse. It's not that you don't love your clients that you serve. It's not that you don't love the church group or whatever, but, and it certainly doesn't, those things do not fall into not give a fuck about. Those are the things you do give a fuck about. You have to give a fuck about, but you have to give a fuck about yourself first, because you can't, if you don't have it, you can't give it away. So doing things because of what other people think or want, or what you think other people think or want, is a losing game. It's a losing proposition, because you're not going to take good enough care of yourself, and you're going to feel like you spread yourself too thin, like Lori said. And our job is not to please other people. Okay, it's not our job to please other people. It's not our job to think about this. Okay, someone says you're selfish. You care too much about yourself. I want you to care about me instead. Does that make sense? Someone accuses you of being selfish for not thinking of them more than yourself. They're the selfish one. You're just taking care of making sure that you're in a state and a position to be of use for other people, to actually be helpful, to actually be loving, to actually be supporting, both emotional and financial and so forth. Yeah, and someone will always complain no matter what you do. That's the thing. We have no control over what other people think. I get on here. Some people, I'm just getting on here as me. Half the time I haven't even showered yet. Or obviously taking out my dog because he's over there. He's over there complaining. You might have heard him. And Tiffany said, Caesar doesn't give a fuck if I'm alive. That's absolutely true. And Carol, that was hysterical when your daughter was, when your daughter Chelsea was on your live last night, playing around in the background. So funny. Yeah, we can't control the kids, the dogs, whatever. So stop trying to do it. But no matter what you do, even if you do the best thing or what you think is the best thing or something highly virtuous or whatever, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. I mean, you can see on it's so funny. Sometimes you look at a Twitter feed or Instagram or YouTube. I mean, people will find the reasons to hate everything. Some people, that's what they focus on, okay? They give a fuck about criticizing other people all the time and being trolls. And so that's what they do. Can't change their mind. Anyway, we're coming up on the end of the 30 minutes that I allot for this. And bottom line is, if someone's not going to take your place and when it's time for you to die, don't let them live for you. Okay? If you have a bunch of people around you, if your family and friends, if you saw them, I read a comment from my mom at the beginning of the show about how I should trim my beard, right? Sorry, Mom, don't give a fuck. I give a fuck about you. I love you dearly. But your opinion about my beard, do not give a fuck. Okay? People's opinion about my beard, my hair, my eyes, my nose, how I talk, if I stutter or not, if I say do not give a fuck. I'm here to provide some value and a place for entrepreneurs to interact and focus midday on some things, especially if they're, if your minds are off to the races. I'm here to help give some perspective. And I can also do that, as some of you know from personal experience, in a one-on-one coaching arrangement or a group coaching arrangement, which I'm currently enrolling for. I've got one-on-one slot for 3 months, and I've got a couple of groups. So if you haven't invested in coaching, invested in yourself, really, which gives the highest return on investment of anything you can do, feel free to give me a shout and we can chat about it. There's a couple of services on my page, including a free 15 minutes of flame call. Yeah, I know I'm going to get complaints from Mom about that. So, all right, everybody. I appreciate you having you on here. This has been High Noon Live. I'm Brian Keith Noonan, the One Coach, because life and business are not separate for entrepreneurs. So, got to have both aspects of things firing on all cylinders. And I'll be back with another High Noon Live here in the next couple of days. You can check out the replays of the different episodes. This is episode number 6. So this is the 6th time that I've got on here and rattled on about things. Some of the topics have been commitment, habits, which I'm going to be doing a part 2 on. What to do when you feel like shit. What didn't get done and why. Those are some of the topics. So please like my page over at The One Coach if you want to get notifications on when I go live and not miss out on any of the other cool stuff I post for entrepreneurs. And please feel free to share this if you got a kick out of it. I'm here to have some fun and create some interaction and some community for entrepreneurs. So if you like it, please let people know. Yes, I do drop some F-bombs here and there, not usually as many as today. The book we were discussing is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. And if there's any book mentions or concepts mentioned on here that you want more details about, just shoot me a message. All right, gonna wrap this up. Thanks everybody. I appreciate you, and I'll see you most likely tomorrow at high noon. Have a great day until then. Bye-bye.